Doesn't matter.
Let's put it this way, 120 was probably the lowest.
Did you get a speeding ticket the last time?
Keep this away from the policing person.
Hello.
But they continue to do that. They'll sometimes run brine, pressurize it. We've had books on that floor for a while. That's the issue. It starts to get older.
You by yourself tonight, Flo?
Easily replaceable.
Wow. Double the pay. Whose? Oh, Vicky's mother's birthday. Okay. So you get her paycheck too. There you go.
But I know when I first stepped down, I remember looking at my grandfather used to be one of the main guys. I'm like, so it was kind of captivating. It must have been like, I would say, maybe Pepsi just makes it through every year. 1995, I think it was Pepsi free or something. I don't know. Well,
At some point, if you find you got
yeah, maybe it's just left there. It served as a reminder. This is when we did that.
yeah.
You're watching CHCO TV's Gavel to Gavel coverage of the July 2026 regular council meeting for the municipality of Eastern Charlotte. I'm Florence Mitchell. In today's meeting, under Old Business, Council will move to give Code of Conduct Bylaw EC02 its second reading. Council will also receive an update on Amendment EC06-A to the All-Terrain Vehicle Bylaw and an update on the Child Care Building Project. Under New Business, Council will move to authorize the transfer of funds from the General Operating Reserve Fund and the General Capital Reserve Fund for several development and maintenance projects. Finally, Council will move to approve a sign request for Meg's Cafe on 37 Main Street in St. George. Now let's join Council at Macadavic Place in St. George.
Yeah. Must be getting close. Everybody's getting quiet. I will now call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. here at Macadavic Place, St. George. Good evening and welcome to the July 2026 regular council meeting. and the third one for this new council for Eastern Charlotte. Tonight marks the halfway point for Summerfest 2026 here in Eastern Charlotte, and there's lots of events going on this week, and the last day will be on Saturday with the really big show with the fireworks going on, lots of music at the high school. So make sure, I'm not going to read out every event going on, but that is where it culminates on Saturday. So make sure you try to take in some of the events. It's a really great time to be able to go to all the events. I know that Councilor Borthwick, I think you're matching me. Everything is going on, you've been there. So anybody wants to see lots of pictures, Councilor Borthwick has lots of pictures. I want to welcome all those who are attending here tonight and those that are watching on TV or on the cell phone. And I want to thank CHCO for being here tonight. And they brought the whole team of Florence Mitchell here tonight. So Florence, you're doing it all. So thank you very much. I'll mention to Vicki that you deserve twice as much pay this month. So you really deserve it. At this point, Council, I am going to look for a motion to adopt the agenda. I need a motion for that. Councilor Borthwick, I saw your hand up. Was it?
I move to adopt the agenda for the meeting of July 15th, 2026, regular meeting of council as presented.
We have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder. We got a Councilor Hall. I caught you, my eye first. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that is passed unanimously. 3 is conflict of interest disclosure. This is your opportunity to disclose any conflict that may come up in tonight's meeting. Councilor Borthwick, you are.
On item number 10C.
You're going to declare. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I'll pass that there down to Councilor Borthwick. Any others? If not, we'll move ahead. We'll just try to remember that one. 10C. 4 is the adoption of the minutes of the previous council meetings. I'm going to need a motion for that. Deputy Mayor, you said you're going to make that motion, I think?
Yes. I move to approve the minutes as circulated to members of council for June 16th, 2026, June 17th, 2026, June 23, 2026, July 7th, 2026, and July 29th special meeting with the following corrections and amendments to that motion.
Just one second. June 29th. That's right.
29th?
June. You said July. That's
Oh,
right.
sorry,
That's right. That's right. You do good.
June 29th, 2026, the special meeting with the following amendments and corrections. To correct the wording on the motion 4BI, to say, be it resolved that council hereby authorize the transfer of $400,000 from the general capital reserve to the general capital fund for the construction of the multi-use daycare building.
Okay. The deputy mayor has made a motion to adopt the minutes. Is there a seconder for that? I'm going to go to Councilor Martin, and that way I could say Martin tonight. I did a good job. So we have a motion on the floor and a seconder. And Jason would like to speak on this, Mr.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So just so council and residents are aware of what the adjustments of the wording was. Council made the motion to move capital reserve funds to their capital fund, but we just failed to say general. It was obvious that we were taking this out of the general, but the treasurer just wanted to ensure that proper language was there for the financial audits to signify that it was coming out of the capital fund and not the utility funds.
Great. Okay, we have a motion on the floor by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councilor Martin. Any other questions or comments on this motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That moves us to, got to jump a few pages. And we're going to go, number 5 is business arising out of the minutes. There are none. And, correct. And number 6 is delegations tonight. And 6A is the Eastern Charlotte Night Market. Now, you have the floor. I'll let you introduce yourself, Jordan, and you have the floor.
Hi.
Good evening.
I'm back
Yes,
with
you
the
are.
new council. I'm Jordan Holmes. I'm the president of the Eastern Charlotte Night Market. Pretty sure everyone on council knows me, but for those watching, that is my role. I've got a little bit of presentation to kind of read off, and I believe you all have something to the same effect in your packet. I might deviate a little bit, honestly, but I'm just going to kind of read it off and add in some things as I go. So I'm here tonight to provide our new council with a brief introduction of the Eastern Charlotte Night Market. now that the election is well behind us, and more importantly, to provide an overview of our first market season so far. And just a note, we started April 3rd, so we've been going for a couple months now, 3 months now roughly. Our nonprofit board currently consists of our Vice President and Financial Officer, Sue Guthrie, our Secretary, Jen Martin, and myself. I'd also like to start by recognizing the actions taken by the previous council, some of which are on the current council, in starting the process of developing Riverside Park. Without the construction of the pavilion and ongoing efforts to improve this public space, it is my view that our project would not have taken place. With all of this said, there is still much work to do, and I would like to speak for my board in saying that we are eager to continue working alongside the municipality to continue to improve the space and provide some measure of stewardship over Riverside Park. I'd also like to express my gratitude to the municipal staff, CAO Jason Cadet, Kara Hatt especially, Amy Carter, Erica Gagne, Drew Dugan, who had to put up with me in the beginning, and I think now we've started to sort of gel a little bit better. The entirety of Parks and Rec, Public Works, Fire Department, everyone's kind of contributed in their own ways to help kind of make this thing happen. I've had the pleasure of interacting with much of the municipal staff, and I must say, we're fortunate to have these folks looking after our public services every day. I've got a few stats here. I think these are kind of worth noting, putting on my tourism hat a little bit. Economic development is kind of obviously always a component of that as well. So these figures are gathered from a period between February 1st and July 1st, 2026. Much of this data that I've collected is coming from Meta, otherwise known as Facebook, though we've tracked some data using some internal methods as well, so I'll kind of stipulate where the information we're getting is coming from. So from our Facebook page, since that date range that I just gave there, February 1st to July 1st, we've had 463,000 and change Facebook views. It's not unique Facebook profiles. These are just each time someone looks at content we've created in their newsfeed or whatever, that's how many times people have interacted over the last 5 or so months. And then in terms of our page visits, we've had about just shy of 21,400. So this is people that are actually clicking on the Facebook page and looking at content on the page, not on their feed. On February 1st, we had 446 followers. On July 1st, we had 1,160 followers, and I checked today, and I think it's like 1,225 roughly. So it's been meteoric, I would say, in terms of follower count growth, which is a good indicator of how much interest there is in what we're doing down there. The majority age demographic, this is interesting to me. I don't know if it will be to you guys. 35 to 54 is about 48% of the total individuals within all age brackets that are visiting the page, at least, which is probably a good indicator of how many are visiting the actual night market when it's happening. This, I think, is important to keep in mind because that's kind of the age where people are typically spending the most money. That's a working age, right? People in their mid-30s tend to have an established career. They're making a little more money than they were in their early 30s or late 20s. So that's a good sign. People are coming and spending money, and we're seeing this with the vendors as well. I mean, I talk to the vendors every Friday, and unless we get bad weather, typically they all do pretty good, which is a really good sign, and they keep coming back, so that's another really good sign. Roughly 60% of those interacting with our page are from the St. George or Penfield areas. I want to add, on Facebook, you can't really say I'm from Utopia or Beaver or Blacks even, I'm pretty sure. It's typically you would select the closest thing that you can find. So a lot of people who live in Utopia, like myself, mark themselves as from St. George. But roughly 60% are local is kind of the indication that we're getting. The remaining 40% are coming from outside of Eastern Charlotte. And I think that's a good number to latch onto. Honestly, I'd be happy if that was like an 80-20 split, not 60-40, because really this is a community initiative, not a tourism initiative. But it's interesting to see people are coming from St. Andrews, St. Stephen, even St. John, maybe even beyond, but that's the bulk of our 40% is coming from those 3 municipalities. We have a list of about 140 vendors in our contacts. Not all of them are attending regularly, obviously, because we have on average, I would say, somewhere between like 20 and 28 vendors per night. This Friday is kind of a big one, much like the June 5th one, which was a really big one for a lot of reasons. But I think we have 35 this coming Friday. So we've got some outliers here and there, but that's part of the fun of it, right? Visitor counts were performed manually, and a lot of them were done by me, but sometimes I would delegate it to someone else. The accuracy of each count, it's not perfect, right? People are coming from all angles into the market. There's no bottleneck for people walking through, so there's really no way to get an exact, definite number, how many people are visiting. We're also not really counting people coming for Salty Fisher only, because they're obviously operating while we have the market going. So I'm leaving a margin of error of like 10 to 15, but it could be higher, right? It's hard to say, but some stats are better than no stats. And I will say, at least when I'm counting, I can speak for myself. I can't speak for those who volunteered to count. I'm looking for who have I not counted yet, and I'm on it as best as I can because I know how important these stats are. So I've kind of just cherry-picked the first Friday of each month of the past few months, including February 13th, which is one that I covered at the last council meeting, but I think it's prudent to kind of keep that kind of going. So we had 281 visitors on February 13th, which that market was done in this building. I think that was a pretty good number for February, right? People are still kind of not wanting to go out much that time of year, but maybe also aching to get out after a cold January. Our visitor count in April, so April 3rd was 253, and I think a big part of it was people not used to the notion of, oh, markets are open in April. A lot of the other markets in the area don't start until mid-May, and sometimes even later. So I think that might have thrown people for a loop, and a lot of people just don't know about it yet. I still hear every day people reach out and say, I didn't even know about this. And it's like, well, now you do. So come back next week and, the visitor count for May 1st was quite low as well, and I think we had some really bad weather on that one, if I'm not mistaken, but it was 230. The visitor count for June 5th, this was a big one. The ALS walk took place at the same time, and so I can't take full credit for how many came through for that one, because I think the majority were coming for that and not for the market. But we had 844 by our count, which is a pretty big deal, I would say. It shows a lot of support for the community, even if it's not about the market. It's great to see that many people traveling through. And we found a bit of a rise in our visitor count after the June 5th market. And I think part of our strategy, Kara Hatt and I sat down in the spring and we kind of, we went, let's combine the ALS walk with the market. And it would have the benefit for us of raising awareness for us, but we're kind of tag teaming, supporting each other. And that's really kind of what this is about. So going back to May 1st, we had 230. July 3rd, we had 330. And so we've been consistently, on average, I would say 100 higher on our visitor count ever since June 5th. And now we're anticipating kind of that continued growth as we get up to July 11th as part of Summerfest, which is, I think, maybe our second biggest event compared to the fireworks. I don't know. So our average count across all markets, excluding the most recent one, July 10th, was about 320. So that's an aggregate of everything we've done this year, including June 5th, which probably pushes that average a little bit high. So why is all this important? Some of you probably don't care about stats, and I don't blame you because I'm a bit of a stat nerd myself. So for me, it's important. I've worked in regional tourism for probably about 4 years now, and I found that visitor stats and other records kind of along those lines in tourism are really hard to come by. They're rarely maintained, if at all, but if they are, it's not to a satisfactory level. It's not consistent. It's messy. I've seen what little stats are out there, and I just shake my head because there's just so much more that we could be mindful of that would actually help. It's a weapon. We can use it as a weapon to encourage growth in that sector. So the usefulness of any statistics gathered, even for an operation like the night market, cannot be overstated. These figures, when collected over long periods, can be used in many ways we might not think of. Tourism as an industry contributed $2.5 billion, with a B, billion, to New Brunswick's GDP in 2024. I don't know what figures are for last year. I think we probably have to wait till next year. For perspective, our largest industry in the province, forestry, contributed $3.84 billion in 2024. So we're not that far off. I mean, $1 billion is a lot of money, but it's competitive with forestry, which is widely supported in the province. It's been my experience that our province is willing to support tourism efforts through marketing, but rarely willing to fund development or maintenance of existing assets, especially in rural communities. It's my view that our municipality and our region can and should take a more active approach in the development of tourism assets. We're getting away from talking about the night market, but the point of it is to say the previous council invested in developing Riverside Park, and it's an ongoing that this council will have to decide how they want to sort of pursue it. The opportunity there is, well, it's to make it better than what it was would be ideal for even just the community, but there's a tourism component of it that has to be considered. Speaking for myself, my passion for tourism was the primary driver for me to want to work on this project. It is my belief that tourism development can only work when the community supports it. Visitors often travel searching for authentic experiences. The Eastern Charlotte Night Market is one activity that I believe has provided an experience that residents will support and wish to share with visitors. We've already seen evidence of guests visiting our market from other parts of New Brunswick and beyond through anecdotal conversations I and my board have had with guests. And I'm just going to move on to this last little bit here. So I want to kind of wrap it up with just a little bit of the community motivation here. So all of the provided data indicates a strong first year for our market. We're seeing significant local spending each Friday, and new opportunities are being created for young entrepreneurs all the time. We literally had a 12-year-old kid selling fishing lures at some of the markets this spring, and I said, if we could fill this place up with kids, it'd be incredible, right? We're working on it. Where was I? So it's creating a weekly meeting point for residents and visitors alike to connect at a time when personal connection is needed most. Coming out of the pandemic, I think we're still recovering mentally from that, even though it was a few years ago. And I think that we lost and never fully recovered that in-person connection. And I think we may have allowed ourselves to forget how important that is. And finally, one aspect I'm eager for us to pursue is to incentivize food producers. Our entire province is dangerously vulnerable in terms of food security. I had a conversation with the executive director of the National Farmers Union of New Brunswick. She gave me a figure that was startling to me. She told me that if the New Brunswick borders closed, we'd be out of food in 3 days. That's how vulnerable our food sector is. So I'm not saying this is going to solve that, right? But what I am saying is that this is incentivizing people to consider producing their own food, maybe selling it at the market, maybe giving it away to friends, neighbors, whatever. We need more of that because I don't see any multi-million-dollar farms coming up in our community anytime soon. So there has to be at least some movement, even if it's only 5% of the solution. We rely so heavily on imported food, and pricing is often dictated by factors we can't control. I mean, you go to any grocery store, a lot of them are controlled by big corporate chains that are disconnected from us, and they set their prices, and we're beholden to them, right? So just kind of wrapping up here. So it's markets like this one that I believe can play a vital role in improving access to locally sourced food. We have already engaged with multiple food producers from across the region. And I hope by adding our market as another point of sale in our region, we will see continued interest in growing food locally. One thing that I didn't add in my little presentation here, I also want to shout out the vendors, if any of them happen to be watching. Couldn't do this without the vendors. Like it's incredible the amount of support we've had. Every time I talk to them, even when they're having a bad night, they say, I'm going to keep coming back because I believe in what we're trying to do here. But yeah, that's essentially it. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts or questions you want to throw my way now. I'd be happy to answer.
I'll just mention one thing, Jordan. This Friday is actually a lot going on Friday. Do you want to
There
mention?
is.
Why don't you mention this coming Friday? All the things going to be happening on Friday.
Oh, you want me to? I don't have the
I've got
pamphlet.
it in front of me. So
I know at the St. George Legion, I think it's 3 to 6.
no, I'm talking about the night market.
Oh,
itself.
this right.
Yeah,
Oh, just talk about the night market. I was
Yes.
gonna.
That's what you're here for. Yeah, yeah.
I was
So
almost
you-
going to shout out everybody else, which I'm happy to do. But
Well,
yeah,
I'm
so,
just reading. You have the Lake Utopia paper is giving out free goodies.
yes.
Okay,
So
what-
I talked to Kara actually this week just to confirm what exactly they were bringing because I'm not in correspondence with them. That's the municipality is working with them. I understand they're bringing popcorn, freezies, a few like goodie bags, cotton candy, I think, all free to give away. So if you've got kids, probably the best time to bring them. And then Penalty Box is playing. I don't know if it says on the pamphlet exactly when they're starting, and it might not say it on there, but I don't know either. And maybe it's 5, I'm not really sure. And maybe Jason can speak to that. I honestly have no idea.
Well, yeah, penalty boxes actually, anybody has ever heard of them? They're really, really good. But there's after the night market is the Sunset
This is-
Memories.
yes.
So at the same location, so people can go there and
Yes.
spend the whole evening there at the night market and listen to music. Then they have the Sunset Memories right afterwards. So it's great to have everything
There's
all one place.
A lot of stuff kind of wrapped in together, and the night market is actually doing Sunset Memories. We've been selling the luminaries. We're still selling them up to the point of the market. So if anyone comes to the market and they're thinking about maybe having someone memorialized, come find us. We have a table set up. The luminaries will be at the table. They're $5. The money goes towards paying for a lot of the stuff that we have to pay for in order to have a nonprofit and the operations of the market. So it goes to us. It's not going in my pocket, but it's going into the nonprofit bank account. I think we have all our volunteers for that, but Steve McDougall and myself are going to go in the water and make sure the luminaries get where they need to go and catch them, because I know we had some people reach out with that concern too, because we were posting about the luminaries and people were saying, well, who's going to catch them? You know, who's going to make sure that we're not littering, basically? And I said, it's under control. We're on it. We got to, yeah, so.
Yeah, that's what took care of every year.
Yeah.
Fire department and volunteers.
Yeah, so Steve and I will go,
Concerned of litter.
yeah, well, everyone always has questions, and we're happy to answer what we can, right?
Should we have bring questions to the municipality too?
Probably, but when they come to us and if we have the answers, we're happy to.
No, I appreciate. I'm going to give council a chance to ask questions, but I appreciate all the work you're putting into this. You can tell there's a lot of passion there. I know that when the pavilion was built, the former council, this is what they envisioned. They envisioned having a market. I remember Councillor
remember
Tidd at the time saying to me, he said that we can have lots of markets going on here, and so it's great to see that your group has moved to. Led the way and have the market going on. The key is to have the market at the same time, same location, and every week, and then people catch on to it. But I want to thank you very much for coming in tonight, and I want to go to the council at this point if you have any questions and or comments tonight for you. This one there. Any questions or comments?
And if you're shy, you can always find me every Friday at the same place. So I'm not hard to find.
Exactly. No, I try to go every Friday. There's times I've been away, and I tell you, it's great to be able to just go down there and talk to people and see people down there. So
You never know who you'll run
It's a
into.
beautiful location down there too. Yeah, there's Deputy Mayor.
Penalty box is 4 to 8.
Is it? Okay, it is. Honestly, I'm just so wound this week. I can't remember all of that.
If there's no other questions, thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank you. This brings us to 7 department reports. 7A is the general government report, and I'm going to call on the CAO, Jason Gaudet. Mr. Gaudet.
Thank you, Your Worship. So general government report for the month of June, finance and HR, due to some staffing numbers, we need to form a joint health and safety committee. I think this part of that is in some of the business later on this meeting. Ongoing review of the training certification with some training being scheduled for air brakes, water operations, and general courses such as traffic and flagging and chainsaw use are being scheduled. So water and wastewater repairs needed for a portion of the water line on Gaudet's Lane due to low pressure. And we were really wondering what that pressure was. And just this afternoon, we're realizing that it is a bit of a break at a shut-off at someone's house. So we'll be addressing that tomorrow morning. Test well drill for Black's Arbor well exploration is still planned for October, November. Meeting with industry in St. George on intake levels for wastewater and need for upgrading transformer at well 2. That's been completed. Public Works still, paving still scheduled for July for the Cedar Court and Brunswick Street in Black's Arbor. Pothole patchwork is still pending for St. George. We're looking at trying to get at that this Friday. Several signs were received and pending in installation. So it's the sign season, we like to say. Pending work for the return of the War Memorial. So we just talked to Smith's Monuments, and one of the reasons why that monument really kind of went into disarray was that there's a large granite slab, and the granite slab had a not a fracture, but it was 2 pieces, and so it had dropped down in the middle, causing that to go uneven. And so they have one large concrete slab or a granite slab that's going to be replacing that, so we'll avoid any of that future issues. EMO, Tony Munn, our EMO coordinator, met with provincial partners on EMO initiatives and updates on the emergency preparations. Parks and Rec, very busy time for that season, for that department. Some issues with the well and pump persist and faulty valve incorrected. I guess that was with some of the issues with the splash pad. I just want to also let people know that we ask people not to bathe in the splash pad or clean their dogs in the splash pad. We've had a few reports this weekend that some people were washing their animals in the splash pad, and all of those soaps and detergents cause the splash pad to kind of go into a longer cycle and can't be used. So we ask people not to shower or wash their animals. Repairs have been made on the splash pad in time for official opening, but we are still getting long recycle times because of just the heavy use. Still planning on repairs for the infield of the baseball field here. St. George, finished work at the Riverside Park. Painting of the gazebo on Main Street in St. George, and topsoil to be added later in the season at Canal Beach to sort of bring back a grass area at the front of the, between the beach and the parking area. Additional review of the walking trails to do some other mowing over there and adjustments to some of the rocks. Updating of signage for parks and places, as well as reinstalling signage for no wake zone. And I know council's asked about that a number of times. We just finally received the signs in this afternoon. Those wake zones going to be installed along Riverside Park and the approaches. The old river access at Riverside Park is in need of repair or removal, awaiting some quotations on filling the area and restoring the shoreline. Ditching will be conducted along the roadway to Canal Beach, as well as installing some traffic signs there as too. Residents are encouraged to use the truck trailer parking lot at Canal Beach to avoid traffic congestion along the road, and are reminded that parking on the shore road, on the actual shore of the beach, is not permitted by the Department of Environment. The outdoor washroom at Geo Spinney will be repainted and given some much needed attention. So as far as housing and development for Project Village, Lewis Connors Drive, project awaiting some final CMHC funding approval. Conversations with developers on apartment, possible land sales there and land acquisitions, and industrial park lots in St. George. We have some interest from a couple potential companies in the St. George area about perhaps securing some lots in St. George. Retail lot at Exit 53, pricing for culvert extension is estimated at $102,000. A wellball permit is active, and I believe that's also on agenda for later this afternoon. That's all I have for the report.
Any questions or comments? Okay, Councillor Thompson, you're first.
I was wondering whether Tony could come talk to us on our EMO initiatives and preparedness and what we need to do or where we should be to be in line with the provincial standard.
Definitely.
No other questions or comments? If not, we'll move ahead to the reports of the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, and I'm going to go to Mr. Gadet.
Thank you, Worship. I know Alex Henderson will be arriving a little bit later for the meeting. So this is the Planning and Building Enforcement
Oh,
report.
Mr. Actually,
There he is
Mr.
there,
Henderson just
right
came
in
in.
the nick of time.
So he just gets you off the hook there. Yeah, yeah. Just take your time, Mr. Henderson, and we're not going anywhere. It's nice and cool in here. Maybe it'll cool off by the time we get off. The meeting gets done. It's a nice hot day in Eastern Charlotte. I left Black Sabbath tonight. It was 31 degrees in Black Sabbath, believe it or not. Usually it's been running 17, 18 degrees. And hopefully it'll cool off before I get home and be able to sleep tonight. Now, after the weather report, I'll go to Mr. Henderson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, sorry about that. I was at another council meeting, so back to back. So we met with the CEO and his staff regarding the background study for the next phase for Eastern Charlotte, which is the development of a new plan. And we looked at the key differences between the rural plan and the municipal plan. And what we're looking for now is to get a date where we can present this background study to council and get directions from council on next steps with community consultations and getting the community's directions for a new plan. With regard to development, there's been 12 new homes apartment units permitted year to date, with 4 new in the report period. There was 46 building or development permits issued year to date, with 10 new in that last report period. Your construction value is close to $7 million. There's been 5 variances, terms and conditions, no new. Same with zoning confirmations, and as well as your documents that go to registry for exemption. In terms of subdivision, there's been 13 subdivision plans approved year to date, with 4 new in the last report period. So that means 13 new building lots have been added to Eastern Charlotte year to date, and two of those building lots were new as of the last report period. In terms of enforcement, there's been 25 enforcement cases that have been opened in Eastern Charlotte, and these are under the 3 bylaws that we administer for Eastern Charlotte, with Community Planning Act being zoning, Building Code Administration Act, and the Dangerous and Unsightly Premises bylaw. As we keep a record since the community has been incorporated in 2023, because sometimes these cases can be multi-year cases to get resolved. There's been 105 cases that have been resolved since incorporation. And that concludes my report. Thanks.
Great, Mr. Henderson, I appreciate this. Any comments, or Councillor Thompson?
I was wondering when your report will come to council for the rural plan.
Yes, so if it's council's pleasure, if they look to have a, say, a committee meeting date where we get put on the agenda to present the background study, or a special meeting of council, however council wishes, and we're happy to attend. I would suggest a meeting where you'd have maybe about an hour to go through it. It's a large document. I believe it's over 60 pages so far, and we're still looking for additional input from Eastern Charlotte staff on any sections as well. So we might have a bit of a living document at this point, but we want to present it to council before going to the public with it and initiating council-directed meetings with the public regarding directions for the new plan. So yeah, it's up to council when you'd like to do that. We're ready at any point at this point to meet with council.
Could we get a plan sooner than later and then set up a date with a meeting with Alex?
Yeah, so you're saying, Councillor Thompson, sooner than later, is that what you're saying? I can't hear.
Let's have the paperwork first for our review.
Right.
And then we can set with Alex and his people.
Okay, so maybe we'll try to look for early September for that. Get his report, and that gives you the month of August to your summertime to read that, and then Yeah, sooner the better, because what's the cutoff time for us to get this done?
So you need to have a new community plan adopted by January 1st, 2028. And these do take, you need to give yourself a good amount of time to do them, because there's a lot of back and forth with the public on it.
Just for the public's knowledge, if we don't do it, what happens?
The Minister of Local Government will impose a plan on Eastern Charlotte, so at your cost too. So it's not something you want to do, and there's no additional cost for the Regional Service Commission working with council to adopt a plan. And when council's in the driver's seat, you get to set the priorities for the plan. So it's highly desirable to do your own plan.
Absolutely, no, if not, basically it's the province of New Brunswick tells us, dictates everything that happens down here. So it's good that we end up getting it done. Any other questions? Okay, yeah, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, so we've got at least one development right now that's held up flat because we don't have a old municipality building plan, so to speak, that we had before, and there's been some problems with that. So I agree with Councillor Thompson. I mean, when we're holding development up because, you know, we've lost it during amalgamation, it's something that we need to get figured out, and if it can get figured out in this plan without the whole town, non-town question, right? So, I mean, but it needs to be understood what we have lost and what decisions locally we have lost do that too, so.
Any other questions or comments from Mr. Henderson? Mr. Henderson, thank you very much. I'm not going to ask you to leave. I know you're going to be staying a little bit longer. But sit back and relax. I'm going to go to 7C, the fire report tonight, and I'm going to call on Councillor Rubin tonight to give us this report.
Very much. The month of June, the Eastern Charlotte Fire Rescue responded to 38 incidents, down a little bit from the month before from 55. Few highlights of the month of what they were doing. They assisted in the traffic during the ALS Strong Walk event. That was a very well event, and it was good partaking of people. Completed air pack repairs, Back Bay and St. George, Black River. Annual pump training was done on a couple of the trucks. That's normal this time of year. 8 members attended the workshop at Point La Pro. Assisted in the parking of the Grand March at the Eastern Charlotte Recreational Complex in the graduation ceremony at Fundy High School. Would like to also recognize the Fundy Middle High School Essential Skills class for their excellent work in building training props for the Eastern Charlotte Fire Rescue. And that's everything.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Rubin. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll move ahead to the Public Works Report, which is 7D, and I'll call on the Deputy Mayor to give this report tonight.
I submit the report for the month of June as written and circulated.
Okay. Any questions from council on that? If not, we'll move ahead to 7E, which is the Parks and Recreation Report, and I'll go to Councillor Hall on this.
I move to submit the Parks and Rec report for the month of June as written.
Questions or comments on that? Yeah.
Questions probably more for the CAO, Your Worship.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor.
Don't see anything in the report around scheduling or in your general governance report around the water condenser tower water leak. We asked last month's meeting that gets captured in a timeline, so because before you know, September will be here and we'll be making ice again. That would be the first thing. I've got a few here. Do you want to answer them all at the end, or do you want me to? Okay. I see also noted here that the topsoil is to be added at the field here for the gravel concern that's been brought up the last 2 months. Just curious on where that sets at. The other thing that I would like for us to talk about sometime is about clearing the overflow. I know we've had some conversation around it about extending parking here with the childcare building, but even with ball field parking, it would be great. I don't see that's been formalized anywhere either. The splash pad, have we been able to make contact with the contractor that we have purchased the equipment from originally? And I know there was an email sent and asking for some support around the program and operational logic that's with that unit. And my last thing was, I noticed in the report and in the motions that are coming forward here that the gutters for the Riverside Park Pavilion is not listed anywhere, and I thought we were gonna do that this month and make that motion forward too. So that would be my questions on that report.
Mr. Gannett.
Thank you, Your Worship. So yes, condenser tower is still scheduled. I think I checked with that just early last week. Simco was supposed to have been here to do that, but definitely, as you mentioned, it's been ongoing, getting them here to be scheduled. So matter of staying on top of them and getting them to give us some hard lines. We don't want to get into, here we are, July, get into August and September, and then we're getting into ice season making. So I will myself reach out to our rep of Simco tomorrow and see where that's at. Topsoil for the field, yes, that has been scheduled. I think it's just a matter of trying to find the right time to do it with the ball field being used quite heavily. So I can check with staff to see what their thoughts were, because there was, as we mentioned, you and I have talked many times on this, there's a section out there of whether we put some of that drainage that should have really been addressed with some topsoil. So I'll check with staff on UTA on that. I think the extended parking, I think the thought was maybe we're towards the old tin can in that area. I think a lot of that was just waiting to see. We were hopefully going to quickly start moving with some of the project relating to the multi-use childcare building. So we can start clearing that would be number one to do, but I can check on that as well. I mean, I think regardless, it's always been the thought to try to get that, there's a bit of a hump, and push that back and start using some of that work. So I can check on that there for you as well. Splash pad contractor, no, we've reached out to the installer of it's ABC Recreation. We actually bought the equipment from, and then there's the installer. They've promised a few times to be down here with our staff to kind of go over things with them and do a run through. Reached out to them regarding sort of the coding for that as well, but there's been no response. We have reached out to actually some different places. There's the town of Digby, for example, just was there yesterday and inspecting their splash pad as I was going through. It's the very same. So we'll be reaching out to see even who they're using. We just need to find some other company that can have the time to come down here and do that and sit with our guys and go through that system. But even if we can get the programming that's there.
Yeah, like I'll help make
Yeah,
a logic
definitely.
flow for it, right?
Yeah, we have people that have expertise in that field. So I'll reach back with him tomorrow and see if I can get something with that, even his office. And the gutter, yeah, definitely. We can do the gutter normally. That doesn't have to come out of that capital, but I guess if we do that capital later on, maybe we can just add that $2,000 that was in for the capital work and just do one big motion added into that work. And we can do that too. Because yeah, I think, even with the market down there having that is a big difference. You can see
Yeah,
where
it's
there's
just
lots
sheets of water. It's a big roof. Like
Big roof.
Councillor Thompson's even said it's a big roof.
of
So.
right, and it's not a lot of money. Just it's a difference of what I think it was $2,000 that's all it was. So, so some things there I'll certainly follow up tomorrow, especially with the Simco thing. It's just such a long time coming. They made a few promises of coming, and even with the installer here for the splash pad, it's, again, they say 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and next thing you know, we're into the end of summer.
Yeah, because do you know how many weeks do we go yet? 7.
7.
So
It's a countdown.
it's
on.
getting close.
That's right. Yeah, really only 4 weeks in a month, so
That's right.
it's coming. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to 7F, and this is the other committee reports. And does anybody have a report? Councillor Martin, you have a report? Thank you.
It's just a small one. The Age Friendly Committee received notice that the $2,500 grant for the fall risk prevention session has been approved. These sessions will be planned for the fall. That's it.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments for Councillor Martin? If not, we're going to move ahead to 8, which is the financial statement. And I'll go to Councillor Borthwick on this.
I move to accept the financial reports for June 2026.
We have a motion on the floor by Councillor Borthwick. I'll need a seconder for the Councillor Hatz. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Okay, 9A is the, make sure I get the right one, yeah. Fine. 9A is the Code of Conduct, the amendment and the form. I'm going to go to Mr. Gadet to speak on this first.
Thank you, Your Worship. So right now, we're just in first reading by title only with this bylaw. Just be looking for council to move to a second reading by its entirety, so we have a draft to work off of here. I guess just highlighting some of the changes that we've recently made upon review. There is now a bit more of a timeline. There's a submission form, which is 4B, that's there now requiring anyone to fill these complaints out, that they would have to actually do a submission form that has pertinent information that would have to be answered in there. We did look at, as well, the timeline is a big one there too, just making sure that we don't have people that are trying to file complaints with previous councils, so not much we can do there for far as penalizing previous councils. And in keeping it as well with 4C, say within 60 calendar days, if it's kind of the ask is looked for. So yeah, and there's actually a copy of the submission form that we have here too. Again, just this is all still in draft. When we just put this in draft, we have to go to a second reading, wait the 30 days, and then at least 30 days, and then it would have to go to third and final reading. So that's the update.
So basically, the council they're looking for to do a second reading of this, so that way they can go out to the public, and so the public can read it. This doesn't hold council to this to be the final. You can always make changes before the third and final reading. What's council's pleasure on this?
Your Worship, I'll make a motion that this goes to a second reading in its entirety of the bylaw ECO2, and as an amended to the bylaw ECO2 Code of Conduct, including complaint submission form Schedule A.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Thompson's going to second that. Question or comment on the motion?
I do have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
Your Worship.
okay. I'm going to go to Mr. Gadet first, because he might be able to answer it anyway. And it's
Just for these second readings, so this will be bylaw EC-02-A, the bylaw respecting code of conduct, an amendment for the Eastern Charlotte, and with second reading, the full version drafted version will be available on the website as well through the municipal office for a residential review.
Great. Deputy Mayor.
So I do have some notes on this that it doesn't impact tonight's motion, that's for sure, but there is some stuff here, and like I still have some concerns, which I've voiced many times, around the opportunity that doesn't put council or the person that has to, usually the deputy mayor or the mayor that has to bring these forward when they disclose them, doesn't put them in a slandered position of causing slander. I don't see anything in here that's protecting that, to vet that, because even if somebody goes through this, fills the form out, puts a section in, and is on a witch hunt, so to speak, there's nothing stopping it from process. So there needs to be some type of catch there, because if you look around the province, there has been incidents where this is being tried, and it's not right. There has been ones that we've had that's, borderline slander if you're going to read it out. So I know myself legally, I'd want to be protected on that, and I don't see anything that helps that today. So that would be my thing. But I will meet with Jason around my individual ones that I have issue, but the big ones around the slander part.
For sure. No. Any other questions or comments? The motion on the floor is, be it resolved that council accept the second reading in its entirety of bylaw EC-02A, an amendment to bylaw EC-02, Code of Conduct, including the complaint of submission form Schedule A. That motion's on the floor by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Thompson. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And nay, and that one is carried. That brings us to 9B, ATV bylaw amendment, EC-06-A, and I'll go to Mr. Gadet on this.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is certainly one that's been in old business for a while, predates this council, previous council of Eastern Charlotte. So right now, this is still being reviewed. It's in its second reading. It's waiting to be third and final reading with enactment. So some notes that we've added for council from Jessica Hoyt. She's with Department of Public Safety and Justice. Bylaw is presently under review by DTI, Department of Transportation Infrastructure. They are currently conducting their part of the process to assess it for safety concerns. Once they complete the review, we will share any issues they identify or changes that need to be made. If no changes are required, I will notify you and inform that you when it has been forwarded to the minister for final approval. So it will be the Minister of DTI. So that's where it's at now. Certainly we continue probably usually every week before council, I send a message off to the province and saying, where are we at with this? It's been a lengthy process, so we'll still remain in the second reading, at least for now. Certainly we've given, I think that might have been back in February, I believe, that we did second reading, so they've had this for a number of months, probably at least 5-6 months, so we'll wait to see what next month comes with. So let's remain at the table.
Any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor.
Last month's meeting, we said about getting the committees together and do an open house here and bring in the ATV president of our local and whatever the province's main one was. I know Councillor Thompson was kind of shaking his head yes on that too, so I know we were looking at that. I just don't see that in the old business here.
Yeah, we're trying to do two things at once with that. We did get some ATV feedback on this bylaw just even in the last few weeks, but trying to at least, even if we can get this in a second reading with the feedback from the province at the same time, we can kill two birds with one stone. I know the ATV quad MB is ready to go. The province at this point, I don't think they want to even have any discussion on this until it's been reviewed and approved by the minister. So once we do that, I hopefully once we get the feedback and even before we go to third and final reading, I think, as you mentioned, Deputy Mayor, just to put this into a public open house, see what we're actually going to do. Yep.
Any other questions for Mr. Cadet? If not, we'll move on to 9C. Just going to rename 9C. It is now called the multi-use childcare building project. That is what that's the words that we will refer to this project to at this point. And I'll go to Mr. Cadet.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. So just to update, we did hear back from RDC. Things are very favorable from them. We're just waiting for a letter of sort of a promissory note to ensure the funding is there. They said all the funding would be there. We just want to have something actually in writing. And as well with the Capital Board, they would be requiring that as well. And just the change of sort of name, not just being a child care only. We do have a sort of a common room that we'll be utilizing for multi-use. They found that would be a better suit when that goes to the Capital Board for review. Just ensure that multi-room, multi-use aspect of it is looked at. So that's why we typically now are trying to call it multi-use childcare building. But yeah, once we get that letter, we'll bring that to council ASAP and then get the motion. The tender, the company, the contracting company is fine. They're kind of on a standby, and they said that's fine. They, as long as the intent right now is to move forward, and their schedule still looks good at this point. So we will be pleading with RDC to get us that letter as soon as possible, and if we don't receive it by the end of this week, we'll be asking for it again come Monday morning. But things are looking favorable.
Good news. That's good news. I think a lot of people are watching TV tonight and tuning in just to hear that news tonight. So things are moving ahead after the last meeting we had. People were kind of concerned, but RDC is very much in favor of making sure that money is coming. So that's good news. Any questions or comments to Mr. Cadet? Deputy Mayor.
I tabled it to our next meeting. I don't see that on here to table it again. I can't remember if I said to the meeting in August, but I believe I did. So that would have to be retabled. I don't see it captured in here, but.
Yeah, if we don't hear something back by August, hopefully, we'd hope we would have that resolved by the council meeting in August.
Okay.
So if it does come down to that, it would have to be retabled again, exactly.
Correct, okay. One other quick question, just to make sure while that line of this is going, that Lori is working with the contractor, because we're not doing a full redesign, but there were some cost savings measures, and we're working in parallel with that.
Right.
Okay.
I think, you know, the intent was to sort of bring that back and maybe even a committee, have a discussion. Yeah.
Good. So we learned something new tonight. It is no longer called the Child Care Building. It is now called the Multi-Use Child Care Building. So just when you're talking to the public council, this is the words that we'll be using for that. Okay, that brings us to new business, and tonight is 10A, the transfer of funds from the General Operating Reserve, and I'm going to go to Mr. Gadet to speak on this first.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as discussed at a previous committee, the whole meeting back in June the 7th, there was a request to use $22,000 from the General Operating Reserve for the following items, our recommendation from staff. For the joint health and safety setup and development that will be done by Star Safety for $5,000. The arena ice plant upgrades and retrofit design that's going to be completed by Fund Engineering for $13,000, and the design of outdoor washrooms, design plans that we can actually put together with quotations and proposals from Polyline Design, and they're the ones that have designed the St. Andrews and Ross A. Quispam outdoor washrooms, and they would do one specific for Eastern Charlotte. We currently have $285,000 in the general operating reserve. Operating reserves could be used for non-capital expenditures in the general fund, not water and utility, for such things as design studies and to offset any increase in operational costs. Possible future additional requests could be the work order system we've been having some discussions on over the last few months, and could be a possibility of moving to more of an online billing system. Those are some of the things we can look down the road. So the requested above will leave it approximately $263,000 in the general operating reserves. And so just looking for its recommendation of staff just to see if we can move that forward.
Council, what's your pleasure? Deputy Mayor.
Be it resolved that council hereby authorize the transfer of $22,000 from the General Operating Reserve Fund to the General Operating Fund for the purpose of the completing of the following work: joint health and safety setup and development for $5,000, arena ice plant upgrades, retrofit design for $13,000, design for outdoor washroom buildings for $4,000.
We have a motion on the floor by the Deputy Mayor. I'm going to need a seconder for that. Okay, I got Councillor Hall. I got you first, all right. Question or comment on the motion?
Question.
Deputy Mayor.
Has this engineering company ever reached back that they're actually going to move forward with this? Or is this a new one?
This is a new one. This
Okay.
is, Fund Engineering. This is the one we reached out because of no movement on the other one.
Okay, and the outdoor design, just to clarify for the public here, that's for one that's going to be by the splash pad?
That, they will give us a number of different designs.
Okay.
They could give us that one, as well, one for Riverside Park, and
Oh,
one
the ball
for
field.
even the Black Cyber ball field, too. Yep.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? If you're ready for the question, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That brings us to 10B, transfer of funds from the General Capital Reserve. And I'll go to Mr. Gadet.
Thank you, Your Worship. So much the same with the Capital Operation Reserve, just in regards to utilizing funds for the General Capital Reserve. After earmarking $400,000 from the capital reserves, it leaves us with, and that was for the multi-use child care building project, leaves us with about $1.1 million remaining. As per discussion with previous committee of the whole meetings, the following were some of the quotations that we've received that we could move forward with. The Riverview Avenue curb and sidewalk replacement, as quoted by Debly's Constructions, for $207,000, and these are all taxes in cost, $207,513.50. The Exit 52 municipal property culvert extension, as quoted by with both Roy's Construction and EMCO Piping, and taxes in $109,567.05. The Carlton Street extension clearing and grubbing that would move Carlton Street beyond the cemetery and connect on eventually with Hillside Road and Douglas Street some of the new streets for that subdivision. That was quoted by Roy's Construction for a total of $21,821.85. And I guess we would also add in the Riverside Park eaves troughs as quoted by Penfield Seamless for $2,000. So we'd be looking for a grand total of $340,000 and $902.40. So just a bit of a change with adding that $2,000 in there. So it'll be $340,902.40. And so this will be moved from the General Capital Reserve Fund to the General Capital Fund for the purpose of completing the work. Other quotations, such as pedestrian island, curb and sidewalk for the Blacks Harbor, are still pending. We can talk about those as we move on with sorting some of those things out. We need to work out the intersection Mount Pleasant and Latete Road, such as stop signs and lanes, and we are still looking at relocation of poles along Main Street in Blacks Harbor. Once those are completed, those will come back to council. And the other work would be to fill in the Old River access that we're still trying to get some quotations on there. Remediation work from Glaze Brook has been really the only quotation we've received right as of yet. And these projects can be reviewed again at the on next agenda if things work out. So that's recommendations.
Great. What's council's pleasure? Councillor Hall, I see you going for the microphone. Go.
Be it resolved that council hereby authorizes the transfer of $340,902.40 from the General Capital Reserve Fund to the General Capital Fund for the purpose of completing the following work: Riverview Avenue curb and sidewalk replacement for $207,513.50. Exit 52 culvert extension for $109,567.05. Carlton Street extension clearing and grubbing, $21,821.85, and $2,000 for gutters at Riverside Park.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Hall. I'll need a seconder for that. Councillor Hatt, I saw down here. Question or comment on that? Deputy Mayor, I see your hand moving.
Yep. Just a question on the ones that you listed that aren't here that we have been discussing about. Have they been kiboshed or just not ready to go?
Just not ready to go yet. We're still waiting for Blacks Harbor, still waiting for a number of poles to be pulled back on that sidewalk section. There was one that was a lone pole that was forgotten, perhaps the worst pole of all. Had some telecoms on it, I believe, that they just totally missed. So we need to pull that back definitely so we can get the proper width for that sidewalk too. So yeah, those will be coming back. I think there's 2 or 3 items that bring back to council.
I need the island too. I'm just curious if they were kiboshed or just not ready.
Yeah, it's on a bit of a hold at this point.
Councillor Rubin, you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, there's a couple of questions about
Sure.
the sidewalk and curb. It's a reality check to how much money it costs to replace this stuff. We've got a lot of concrete in St. George, and I mean, a lot of it's starting to deteriorate. It's coming of age. You know, a lot of it's done in the late 70s, early 80s. You know, and it's unfortunate that we got to spend $200,000 to replace a curb alongside of a sidewalk that's in pretty good shape, actually, because there's some in town that are broke, lowered, they're lifted, they're heaving. You know, it's a real challenge to walk on some of them. You've got to be really cautious. And it's good to at least get this one fixed, because that curb is in really bad shape down there. And I assume this is from the overpass to the main street. Yeah, because that corner right on the main street, that's already been done a couple of years ago. Okay, that's good for that question. On exit 52, that was CBCL engineering?
Yes, originally that would have been done back in the old town of St. George days, exactly, and they originally did that work.
And the Department of Environment will oversee that project or check on it or whatever?
Yeah, we do have an open well permit, water alteration permit with the province.
Yeah, okay.
It's needed, yeah.
Thank you.
The last one, Carlton Street extension, is this the, once we get this done, we might be able to work on Carlton Street? That's the everywhere I go, people say they want their last trip to the cemetery to be a little smooth. So
yeah, I think definitely that's been sort of the plan, is to get some sort of a passageway to go out through that past the cemetery, widen out in front of the cemetery. Right now, it's a very narrow width. We'd have to widen that out. I think the past quotations that we've had was putting some curb work to get that width that we're looking for, and then the road would continue on out and connect on down with Hillside Street or Hillside subdivision. And then, really brings open a whole lot of area that is just really not accessible today. So eventually people will be driving past the cemetery, and hopefully the cemetery maybe will put a nice gate in or something that they can close and open during the seasons. But right now you just go up and it's really quite literally no pun intended, a dead end. And so you just have to find a place to turn around, but you'll be able to drive out through and make the connection and get back on Main Street down for a little further out town.
That was pretty good. I like that. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention because every time I go out, everybody mentions the trip down the cemetery. So it's good that this is like step one, and then once we get this done, then it opens up so the next budget, maybe next council could budget and having that done. Okay.
Just a quick question on that.
Any other questions?
But on that street, we planned on doing some patching this year to get rid of the big holes, correct?
Yeah, there's definitely some potholes down there that are on the list. Exactly, yep.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Borthwick, you look like, okay, no, you're looking at me, okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor of that motion. If you're ready for the question, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that is passed unanimously. This brings us to 10C, the enforcement of order to comply. What I would need at this point, Council, I need a motion to go into closed session. Somebody will make that motion. Councillor Hall, will you read that motion, please?
I move the current meeting to the closed session at 8:06 PM
Great.
for item 10C under bylaw EC-01, section 4 FIC, litigation or potential litigation affecting the local government or any corporation referred to in subsection 8, brackets 1 of the Act, the local government agencies, boards, or commissions, including a matter before an administrative tribunal.
We have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder for that. Okay, Councilor Rubin, you okay? Okay, Councilor Rubin, you're seconding the motion? Any questions or comments on the motion? This is just to go into a closed session. If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed. Good. Oh, contrary, yeah, one contrary, yeah. So that wasn't unanimous, everybody except for the deputy mayor. But the motion is carried. Okay, so at this point, I have to clear the room and ask, you can still come back afterwards. We still have one or two, we still have the public presentation time as well, too. Okay, we're back into the meeting. Just for the public record, be it resolved that council designates Mr. Alex Henderson, the development officer under 135(1) of the Community Planning Act for the purposes of asking the court for any of the necessary orders described under 135(2). So that's what council had made a decision on. That brings us to 10D, which is the sign application approval for Meg's Cafe. I'm going to go to Mr. Guedet.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is just a sign application. We do have a, within the St. George area, the need for council's approval on signs that sort of overhang the right-of-way on Main Street, the walkway, the roadway. So this will be Meg's Cafe. That's going to be a new business coming to St. George at 37 Main Street. Council has a copy of sort of the outline of what that sign will look like. And it's a double-sided, roughly 23 by 29 inches sign coming off the side of the front of the building. And construction date is July the 25th of this year. And that's the scale drawing. So just looking for council's decision on that to approve the application.
Council, what's your pleasure? Okay, I got all kinds of hands. I'm going to go to Councilor Rubin and then Councilor Martin's the seconder. But Councilor Rubin, you want to read the motion?
I move to approve the sign as described in the application to Service Commission to Meg's Cafe at 37 Main Street, St. George.
And we have Councilor Martin made that second. Is the seconder for that? Question or comment on the motion? Okay, if you're ready for the question, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passing as. Correspondence, there is none tonight, and that brings us to the highlight of the night, public presentation and appearances. It is under, please note under bylaw EC-01, section 7.1, members of the public shall be entitled to address council for 5 minutes with no debate from council on matters of municipal jurisdiction. I ask that you begin by giving your name and civic address for the record. I will also add that during this time, I cannot tolerate or allow anybody to make accusations against anybody on any subject that works for Eastern Charlotte, any members of council, or anybody else for that matter. If that happens, I have to stop you and ask you to leave the building. So I'm going to have a timer. Do we have a timer? All set to go? And anybody, yeah, you just go right to the microphone and just tell us who you are, your civic address, and then she'll start the, oh, time's expired. I guess you have to sit down. No.
Well, I'm here now. I'm Shirley McGrattan. I live at 64 Brunswick Street in the seniors building. I'm mostly concerned, there's been at least 3 people, myself included, that has fallen on the main street of St. George because of the sidewalk. I realize from tonight's meeting that you have some money and you're going to fix some of it up. But from the credit union to the Catholic Church, there's quite a few businesses. And a lot of us seniors, even though we be wearing sneakers and good shoes, we fall because of the ridges, holes. And there was a lady Friday fell. She went face first down, totally cut her face, her arms, and the whole works. Myself, I fell in June and fractured a few ribs. And I'm just wondering if I understand that you may have to pull up the whole thing and do it, but I don't believe, there must be some other way that you could kind of do the ridges, fill them in. Anybody in a wheelchair or even strollers, and some of the seniors with walkers have a very difficult time doing their business on the main street. And it is known as a granite town, and it's nice for all the granite, but it's also an embarrassment for any tourist that walks down the street. So I'm just hoping there's some way that the council can find some little bit of money to do a little bit to that sidewalk. And that is my little spiel tonight.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to move? Come forward. No, nobody? Okay, that brings us to statements by members of council tonight. I just want to remind everybody again that we are halfway through the Eastern Charlotte Summerfest 26. There's different events. Remember, tomorrow night is Thursday night, so this place should be packed with all kinds of people. There's music going on tomorrow night here at McDavid Place, part of the Summerfest, and that is Thursday night. Who do we have playing? We have Steve Lyons and Anna Golding here tomorrow night, so this place should be packed. And that goes on from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. There's a happy hour from 6 to 7, which Repeat Boutique is going to be putting on. And Friday, there's all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to read all the different things. Just try to pick up one of these flyers, or you can catch it online. And like I say, on Saturday is the big wrap-up day with all kinds of things going on Saturday. So hopefully the weather will cooperate. I'm going to go to the deputy mayor at this point.
Yeah, Your Worship. I guess I know we haven't done much for an update to the public for the Blacks Harbor and Beaver Harbor water update, where the project sets, what's the next steps, what could be holding anything up, and I know we've got a meeting coming up over the summer months here in Fredericton that a date's waiting for, but I'd like to see us do something, Cole's Notes version that we can give out at one of the council meetings to say where we are, because to be honest, since the last time we met, other than an email that comes, there hasn't been anything publicly that's been given out. And the other thing is, July 18 is the last date for public applications to be entered into the subcommittee for the water project for Blacks Harbor and Beaver Harbor. And just want to say thank you to all the fire rescue and staff for all the help that'll be with the Parks and Rec group for the Summerfest that's going on this week, and hopefully Saturday night will be clear of rain. So.
The little people's parade's on. So you gonna be in that?
I actually took 2 days vacation for the festival.
Oh, really? Because they're looking for Santa.
Yeah.
So maybe you can make sure Santa shows
I've
up.
put some weight on since my motorcycle
I didn't mean
accident
you. I
to
meant
get
the real,
there. That's
I meant
for
the real
sure.
Santa. I thought you might be able to escort Santa down to the
Yeah.
North Pole.
It's probably a bit warm for Santa.
Yeah,
I'm
it
a,
probably
I'm a,
is
sn-
a bit
I'm a
warm.
snow guy too, so.
Councillor Stevens.
I don't have much to add, but, I don't have much to add, but, hope to see you this weekend and come out for some fried dough.
Right. And when's fried dough?
Now I'm on. Fried dough is Friday night at the market. Jordan's gone. And, Saturday from 1 to 10.
And where's it Saturday?
Saturday's at, Fundy High.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Councillor Borthwaite.
First of all, I want to say thanks to everyone for all the great activities. I've had the best week enjoying everything and taking pictures, and I hope everyone's getting out and enjoying even a little bit of it. And we got to put some foam on Mayor Craig at the beach party, which was kind of fun because he didn't see it coming. I do have a couple of easy questions. I was talking to Kara Hatt. So we will put on the Facebook or somewhere on the Eastern Charlotte site, if we do get that monsoon rain, 5 to 10 millimeters, where the rain date, the other locations will be. Do we do that in plenty of time?
Yeah, I can take a look at that and see the rain date locations for the festival events.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we've been asking people to stay tuned to the Parks and Recreational Facebook page. That's be the best place to look, and we'll try to get the word out as much as possible. If anything does change on the weekend, it's too bad that we do need rain, but it's too bad it has to happen to be that day. But if things, the way the weather reports go, I mean, yesterday we were supposed to have tornadoes and everything else. We never get any of that stuff. So the way the weather goes, we may not get the rain. So, but Councilor Borthwick.
Okay, I have another question. So I'd sent an email out, and I was curious. There was one part that wasn't answered, and maybe I should just stick to email, about the busy corner up in the upper subdivision, about cars being parked on the road, people having to go out around them. The lady that got hold of me said she almost struck a child on a scooter, and she was asking, but I don't recall getting the reply or I've forgotten. Is there any way a no parking sign could be put up on each side of the road or something so there's not that many cars at that business on that corner? She was more concerned of a safety concern. I have no idea about it, but in the email, I don't remember that part being answered. I know they were allowed to park on the road some, but where it's a business and there might be a couple of cars, does that make a difference or no?
No, it doesn't. So they are permitted to park like short-term in this Hillcrest subdivision. It just wouldn't be anything long-term. We also wouldn't want to get into a case of putting no parking in front of home-based businesses either, sort of a deterrent to have home-based businesses. So most of the time, if there's any issues like that people find that there's some, just to pick up the phone, call, 755-4321, talk to the municipal office during business hours, or even in off hours, if it's late, they can go to different options. One option's for myself or on-call people, and we can take a look at it at that time too. But for the most part, most of the home-based businesses in the subdivisions are pretty good, and if they are given feedback, then they can address that. So I think we'd want to probably start at least with that. If there's an incident where there's a traffic concern, then just have just address it with the business owner, and before we start putting no parking signs, or we have to go back and amend the whole traffic St. George bylaw and make it not permitted to park on the street at all, or certain sections, certain civic numbers. But yeah, just pass it along to anyone that's up there that has concerns. That certainly take a look at that when those incidents come up.
Okay, and I have one more question. I'll shut up.
No, I'm pretty lenient here tonight, but for the moving forward, this part of the night is statements by council, not a question and answer time. But just there's a better time for questions. But where I'm lenient tonight, where it's Summerfest, I'm going to allow you to ask one more question.
No, I'm good. The fireworks, would they be held another night if it did rain? Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's my questions. Thank you.
Councillor Hatt.
I have just one thing. I had a resident contact me late today. They said the approach to the mobility pad at Canal, the gravel's too coarse at the top portion of it to get through on a wheelchair. They want to know if there's something we could do, put some quarter minus or something to, so that was, and he wanted to know if I'd bring it up tonight. So I did. Thank you.
Great. Councillor Martin.
I just wanted to say thanks for everybody for all their efforts for the Summerfest. We had a really good turnout for the age-friendly car show. Sharon Boyne-Travis, she put on a really good show, and she had everything laid out, and we just showed up and told people what to do. So, yeah, that's everything from me.
Great, thank you, Councillor. You did a good job up there. That was a hot afternoon up there, too, because there's no shade up in that parking lot. And Councillor Thompson, you have the floor.
In regards to the sidewalk, can we look at shaving the bump? That may be an issue, or highlighting the bump so it draws attention to that area? Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Rubin. That's you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. You're so generous tonight. I will speak.
That's excellent. I knew it. You actually did more speaking and talking when you were on the other side, but
You shouldn't have woke me up. Okay, just a little highlight. As the fire department representative, the goal for me as council is to look at a new fire station, central fire station for the St. George area. The St. George station has been outgrown for quite a long period of time. The goals and the services they provide now are far different what they were. That building is 46 years old. I went in, it was brand new. It seemed like a gigantic building back then, but it's pretty small now with what's in there. I can certainly tell you that. So the goal is to look at a location and design of a new fire station. That's the first thing. I'd like to do a little shout out to the community kitchen. The event on July the 1st was quite successful here, I would say, and a good time was had by all. There's not a big crowd, but a nice sized crowd for the whole process. In regards to the memorial at the post office, last month you might have noticed I didn't speak. I certainly had questions. By not speaking, mine was a yes vote, and my yes vote was yes, definitely, that needs to be put back, no question. I certainly don't think councils, or some of the councils, weren't aware of the situation, maybe of upgrades that need to be done there. And that particular memorial could have been moved a little bit to the right and stepped back, and all the renovations after that could be done without any problem at all. That said, I'm looking forward to at least being put back there sometime in the near future, I hope. The area around there, the greenery, it's pretty, it needs improvement. It's pretty unkept looking, actually. I was by there today. It needs a little bit of improvement. The things that are most important on council at this point for me is the Black Harbor water. However, as CEO Gadek will tell you, I've been talking about St. George water all the time. The need to find more is always an ongoing thing. To move forward, you got to keep what you have, but it's always nice to find a little more. And up to this point, it's been 4 years later, we haven't found a drop more at this point. You know, a few things there. Now, the pickleball court, as I've talked to the deputy mayor and the CAO, the driveway going in there proving to save gravel from coming out on the sidewalk, that should be graded down. Maybe we could look at doing something a little bit later on that. You know, the pressure reducer station, the roof on that probably is time to look at that too. That's getting in pretty hard shape. The Gypsy Rest, you already said you're going to paint that, but that does need some more upgrades done to it, but at least the coat of paint would be nice. You know, I see they did get the railing done. That's an improvement. Some signs that are located in the middle of our sidewalks. We got 2 of them. They're safety hazards in one way for our work crew to clean the sidewalk, but there's also one down in the Masonic Hall that forces the traffic or the people out on the sidewalk with the traffic. The snow's always been piled there for the last 4 years. That could be changed pretty easily. Not big money items. The basketball court and the bleachers down here, great. There's no Jersey barriers behind those barriers, which there should be, because that road comes right straight towards where the people are sitting. Even a small barrier there, you know, I hope it never happens, but you never know it could. A car coming up in through there. So have some type of device to stop them. And I guess roads in general around Wallace Street, Brunswick Street, Portage Street, we got to do a little bit of patching, but I know that's ongoing. The CEO's told me it's just a matter of getting around to doing that. And that's about it for tonight.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Sure, okay. Always great to have you here tonight, Councillor. It's good. It's great. You had a long list. That was very good.
Thank you, Mr.
Very
Mayor.
good.
I've been kind of safe.
Don't let it happen again. But that's
I'll try to keep it short.
Councillor Hall, you have the floor. I'm just kidding. You know that.
We're looking at trying to bring scouts back to Eastern Charlotte, so if you're interested in volunteering to help make it happen, we're looking for maybe 3 to 4 other people to commit in order to get it going this fall. Reach out to me personally or through my Facebook council page or my municipal email. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. And that brings us to 14, the date and location of the next regular meeting of council is Wednesday, August the 19th, 2026 at 7 p.m. right here at Macadavic Place. And I need a motion for adjournment. Councillor Rubin. Thank you. Here we go.